Charlie Murphy told the same story for decades. Prince challenged him to basketball at midnight, played in fancy clothes, won, then served pancakes. People laughed, called it fiction. Until Prince died and they found proof, 12 Polaroid photos. Prince at the stove, 3:47 a.m. timestamp. The note that proved Charlie Murphy was telling the truth all along. Blouses won, pancakes served. Charlie Murphy started telling the story in the late 80s, at comedy clubs, at parties. Whenever someone asked about the wildest night of his life, Prince challenged me to basketball, Charlie would say. At midnight, at Paisley Park, and he wore a blouse. People would laugh, not with him. At him, they thought it was a bit, a setup for a punchline. Charlie Murphy, brother of Eddie Murphy, making up stories about Prince to get attention. But Charlie kept telling it. Same details every time. The phone call at 11 p.m. The drive to Paisley Park, the basketball court. Prince in performance clothes, ruffled shirt, tight pants, running circles around Charlie and his crew. Then, after winning, Prince serving pancakes in the kitchen at 4 a.m. Game blouses, Prince had said. According to Charlie, that phrase became famous later. But in the 80s and 90s, nobody knew what Charlie was talking about. Comedy clubs, talk shows, interviews. Charlie told that story hundreds of times, and every time, people smiled politely and thought, interesting imagination. Even Eddie Murphy, Charlie's more famous brother, wasn't sure. Man, I don't know, Eddie said in a 1990 interview when asked about Charlie's Prince story. Charlie tells a lot of stories. Some of them might be true. The implication was clear. This one probably wasn't. August 1985. Charlie Murphy was in Minneapolis. Not famous yet. Just Eddie's brother trying to make it. At 11 p.m., his phone rang, unknown number. Hello, this is Prince. Soft voice. Hi. Distinctive. Charlie laughed. Yeah, right. This is Prince. I heard you are in town. Want to play basketball? Charlie paused. It did sound like Prince. Basketball now. I have a court at Paisley Park. Me and some friends. We play late. Interested? Charlie looked at his crew. Can I bring people? Sure. See you at midnight. Click. Charlie stared at the phone. That was either Prince or the best impression ever. That wasn't Prince, Marcus laughed. Only one way to find out. They arrived at 11:50 p.m. Security checked a list. Charlie Murphy, you are expected. Past purple buildings. To the entrance where a woman in all purple waited. Mr. Murphy. Prince is at the court. Follow me. Through hallways. Past studios. To a regulation basketball court with perfect lighting and funk music. And there stood Prince. 5'2", 110 pounds, wearing a ruffled purple shirt that looked like a blouse, leather pants and heeled boots. You came, Prince said. Ready to play. Charlie looked at Prince, at his outfit. You are gonna play basketball in that. Why not? Prince dribbled smoothly. You have a problem with my shirt. It is a blouse, man. It is fashion. You gonna play or talk? Charlie's crew was laughing. This was absurd. All right. When we win, I am telling everyone. Prince smiled. When you lose, you still will. But nobody will believe you. Teams formed. Prince and 3 band members, including Mickey Free versus Charlie and his crew. First to 21. Prince got the ball first, and immediately Charlie realized his mistake. Prince could play, really play. Fast, impossibly fast. Dribbling between defenders like they weren't there. His size was an advantage. He could change direction instantly, slip through gaps, see passing lanes. Check. Prince hit a layup. That is 2. Charlie tried to guard him. Prince spun past him. Another layup. 4. What is wrong? Charlie's crew got physical. Prince didn't care. Absorbed contact, stayed on his feet, kept scoring. Y'all want a break? We're fine, Charlie growled. But they weren't getting destroyed by a man in a blouse and heels. Score hit 21-9. Prince wasn't breathing hard. Game blouses, Prince said, tossing the ball. Good effort, though. Now, Prince said, walking toward the exit, who wants pancakes? They followed Prince to the Paisley Park kitchen. Industrial, stainless steel. Everything spotless and organized. Prince tied on an apron purple, naturally, and started pulling ingredients from the refrigerator. Flour, eggs, milk. Butter. You are really making pancakes? Charlie asked. I always make pancakes after basketball tradition. At 3 a.m. Prince looked at the clock on the wall. 3:47 a.m. Best time for pancakes. No distractions, just cooking. He mixed the batter by hand, poured it onto a hot griddle. The smell filled the kitchen. Butter, vanilla. That perfect pancake aroma. Charlie and his crew sat at the counter, still trying to understand this night. Basketball with Prince. Losing badly. Now watching him cook. How long have you been playing basketball? Marcus asked. Since I was a kid. My dad had a hoop in the yard. I'd play for hours. Alone mostly. Good way to clear your head. You are really good. Prince flipped a pancake. Perfect golden brown. I am really competitive. There is a difference. Being good is about skill. Being competitive is about refusing to lose. He plated the pancakes. 5 plates. Perfectly stacked. Syrup on the side. Fresh berries. Eat, Prince said. You earned it. Well, I earned it, but I am willing to share. Have you ever had someone beat you at something, then feed you? That weird mix of defeat and gratitude? That is where Charlie Murphy was, and he didn't know how to feel about it. Share this story if you've ever had an experience so weird that nobody believed you when you told them. Because what happened next would take decades to prove, and the proof would come too late for Charlie to say, I told you so. Charlie left Paisley Park at 5 a.m., exhausted, holding leftover pancakes. That really happened, right? Marcus asked. It happened, Charlie started telling people. Friends first played basketball with Prince. He destroyed us, then made pancakes. People smiled politely. Sure, Charlie comedy clubs. Charlie worked it into his act, added embellishments, the way comedians do, but kept the core true. Basketball, blouses, pancakes. Game blouses became his catchphrase. People laughed, thought it was clever writing, didn't realize it was a direct quote. Years passed. Charlie told the story on Arsenio Hall on Conan. People enjoyed it as fiction. Then, 2004, Dave Chappelle asked Charlie to do a sketch. Tell me that Prince story. Charlie told it. Dave laughed until he couldn't breathe. We're filming that. They filmed Charlie Murphy's True Hollywood Stories Prince. The sketch went viral, became legendary. Game. Blouses became a meme. But people thought it was fiction, great comedy, totally made up. Charlie tried to correct them. No, that really happened. Nobody believed him. Sure, Charlie. Even Prince never confirmed it. When asked, he'd smile. Charlie tells entertaining stories. Not yes, not no, just ambiguous. So the story existed in limbo, famous but dismissed, beloved but doubted. Except it wasn't fiction. The 21st of April, 2016, Prince died. The world mourned, and Paisley Park became a museum. The process of cataloging Prince's belongings took months. He'd accumulated decades of material, master tapes, unreleased songs, costumes, instruments, personal items. A team of archivists worked through everything systematically, creating inventories, preserving history, making sure nothing was lost. In July 2016, an archivist named Sarah Chen was working through a box labeled Personal Photos. 1980s inside were hundreds of Polaroids, Prince at parties in the studio, with friends. Most were unlabeled. But 12 photos were different. They showed Prince in a kitchen, wearing an apron, making pancakes. The photos were time-stamped with a Polaroid camera's date function, August 1985. 3:47 a.m. Sarah almost put them in the miscellaneous pile. Then she turned one over. On the back in Prince's handwriting, Game, Blouses, Pancakes served, Charlie Murphy and crew, defeated but fed. Sarah stopped. Charlie Murphy, Game, Blouses. She knew that story. Everyone knew that story. The Chappelle Show sketch. She pulled out her phone, Googled Charlie Murphy Prince basketball, found the sketch. Read articles about how people thought it was fiction. Then looked at the photos again. Prince at a stove, making pancakes. Dated August 1985, years before the sketch aired. Oh my God. Sarah whispered. It was true. It was all true. Sarah brought the photos to her supervisor. You need to see these. The supervisor looked. Read the note. Is this what I think it is? The Charlie Murphy story. It was real. These photos prove it. They called Paisley Park's director, showed him the photos. He stared for a long moment. Do we have any way to verify this? Anyone who was there? Sarah had already thought of that. Mickey Free. He played guitar for Prince in the 80s. He is mentioned in some articles about the story. We could ask him. They tracked down Mickey Free, sent him the photos, called him. Those are real, Mickey confirmed immediately. I was there that night, August 1985. Charlie Murphy came to Paisley Park with some friends. We played basketball. Prince destroyed them. Then he made pancakes. I took some of those photos. Charlie Murphy has been telling this story for years, the director said, and nobody believed him. Prince thought that was funny. He had these photos the whole time, never showed them to anyone, just kept them in his vault. I think he liked that people doubted Charlie, made the whole thing more legendary. Should we release these? Let people know the story was true. Mickey was quiet for a moment. Yay, Charlie deserves that. He has been called a liar for 20 years. Show people he was telling the truth. August 2016. Paisley Park released a statement. Recently discovered Polaroid photographs confirm Charlie Murphy's account of a 1985 basketball game and subsequent pancake breakfast with Prince at Paisley Park. They released 3 of the 12 photos. Prince at the stove, Prince plating pancakes, Prince and Mickey Free holding spatulas. All time-stamped August 1985, 3:47 a.m. The internet exploded. Articles everywhere. Charlie Murphy was telling the truth. Prince basketball story confirmed real. The pancake photos that prove everything. Social media went wild. People who dismissed Charlie for years suddenly had to reckon with the fact that the wildest celebrity story they'd ever heard was completely true. Charlie Murphy saw the news. He was in New York working on a project when his phone started blowing up. Friends, family, reporters, all asking about the photos. Charlie pulled up the Paisley Park statement on his phone, looked at the photos, started laughing. Not bitter laughter, pure, joyful vindication. I told y'all, he posted on Twitter. I told y'all. Game, blouses, it was real, all of it. The post got 1 million likes in 6 hours. The comments were a mix of apologies and amazement. I am sorry I doubted you, Charlie. This is the greatest confirmation of all time. Prince kept the receipts for 31 years. Charlie did a series of interviews after that, late-night shows, podcasts. Everyone wanted to hear the story again. But now with the knowledge that it was true, that every detail, no matter how absurd, had actually happened. How does it feel to finally be proven right? Jimmy Fallon asked. Charlie smiled. Man, it feels good. But here is the thing, I always knew it was true. I lived it. I didn't need proof. But it is nice that everyone else finally knows. Did Prince ever talk to you about it? After the sketch aired, once, 2005, I saw him at an event. He came up to me, smiled, and said, "Nice blouse." That was it. That was his way of acknowledging it without confirming it. Classic Prince. The 12 Polaroids are now at the Prince Museum. In Game, Blouses, the night that became legend. The photos show Prince tying an apron, cracking eggs, whisking batter at the stove, Mickey Free holding pancakes, Charlie in the background looking exhausted, the kitchen clock at 3:47 a.m. Everyone eating, Prince and Charlie shaking hands, and Prince holding a sign. Game, Blouses. That last photo is most popular. Visitors stand in front of it for minutes, marveling that Prince, mysterious Prince, had enough humor to write Game, Blouses and pose with it. People think Prince was always serious, a tour guide explained. These photos show he had a playful side. The exhibit includes context, newspaper clippings about the sketch, quotes from Charlie's interviews, the timeline of how reality became comedy became proven truth. If you've ever told the truth and not been believed, if you've waited years for vindication, share this story, because Charlie Murphy waited 20 years, and when proof came, it was perfect. In interviews after the photos went public, Charlie talked about what that night meant to him. "I wasn't famous in 1985. I was Eddie Murphy's brother trying to make it. Prince didn't have to invite me to Paisley Park, didn't have to play basketball with me, didn't have to make me pancakes, but he did. And it was one of the coolest nights of my life." Why do you think he never confirmed your story? Because Prince liked mystery, liked keeping people guessing. He knew the story was true. I knew it was true. That was enough for him. If other people wanted to doubt it, that just made it more fun. Do you wish he'd confirmed it while he was alive? Charlie paused. Part of me does. Would have been nice to hear him say, yeah, Charlie's telling the truth. But the other part of me gets it. Prince did things his own way, always. And finding those photos after he died, that is very Prince. Leaving evidence behind but only letting people find it when he is gone. That is poetic. Charlie Murphy died in 2017, less than a year after the photos were released. Leukemia. He was 57. At his funeral, someone placed a purple spatula in his casket. A reference to the photos, to the night, to the story that defined him. Eddie Murphy gave the eulogy. My brother told a lot of stories. Some of them I believed right away. Some took me a while. The Prince story? I'll be honest, I wasn't sure, but Charlie never wavered. He told that story the same way every single time for 30 years. And he was right. He was always right. Game. Blouses? Charlie. Game. Blouses. The photos revealed something most didn't know. Prince was funny, intentionally funny. Prince had the driest sense of humor, said Morris Day. He'd say something hilarious with a straight face. You wouldn't realize he was joking until later. The basketball game was classic Prince. Dressing fancy on purpose, destroying him, then serving pancakes like it was normal. He was messing with Charlie, Mickey Free explained. Prince knew Charlie would tell people, knew nobody would believe it. That was the joke, creating a legend people would dismiss. Did he talk about it afterwards? Occasionally, when we played basketball, he'd say, "Remember Charlie Murphy," and laugh. But never told anyone outside our circle. Just kept those photos like a secret. Why keep the photos? Because he knew someone would find them eventually. Prince was obsessed with legacy. These photos were his way of saying, the story is true, but I am only telling you after I am gone. Always one step ahead, always in control. The game, Blouses exhibit is one of Paisley Park's most popular. Visitors spend more time there than almost anywhere else. The museum sells merchandise, game, blouses, t-shirts, purple aprons, spatulas, even pancake mix. All sell out constantly. People love this story, the director explained. It humanizes Prince. Shows he wasn't just a genius. He was also a regular guy who played basketball, made pancakes, and messed with people. The Polaroids are in climate-controlled cases. Next to them, a video plays the Chappelle Show sketch on loop. Visitors watch Prince, Dave Chappelle, say game, blouses. Then see the real photo. The connection between comedy and truth is clear. This exhibit proves the weirdest stories are sometimes the truest, one visitor wrote. That Prince was cooler than we thought, and that Charlie Murphy deserved an apology. August 1985, 3:47 a.m., Paisley Park kitchen. Prince making pancakes for people he'd just beaten at basketball. Charlie Murphy told that story for 20 years at comedy clubs, on talk shows, in the most famous sketch in Chappelle Show history, and for 20 years, people smiled and nodded and didn't believe him. Great story, Charlie, very creative. But it wasn't creative, it was proof. It was the night Prince invited him to Paisley Park, played basketball in a blouse, won decisively, then served pancakes at 4 a.m. like that was a normal Thursday night activity. The Polaroids proved it. 12 photos that Prince kept in his vault for 31 years, never showed anyone, never confirmed, just preserved, waiting to be found after he was gone. Game blouses became one of the most famous phrases in comedy. A meme, a reference point, but it started as something real, something Prince actually said after beating Charlie Murphy at basketball. The photos changed how people saw both Prince and Charlie. Prince wasn't just a mysterious genius, he was also funny. Competitive, playful, Charlie wasn't just a comedian telling tall tales. He was a man who'd lived an extraordinary experience and spent decades trying to convince people it was real. To today, those photos hang in Paisley Park. Thousands of visitors see them every year. See Prince at the stove. See the 3:47 AM timestamp. See the note in his handwriting, "Game blouses." And they understand. The story was true. All of it, the midnight basketball, the fancy clothes, the pancakes. Every detail Charlie Murphy told, embellished slightly for comedy, but rooted in absolute fact. Charlie Murphy died in 2017, but he died vindicated. He died knowing the world finally believed him, that the photos had proven what he'd known all along. At his funeral, Eddie Murphy told everyone, Charlie was right about Prince, about the basketball game, about the pancakes, about all of it. And now everyone knows. Prince died in 2016, but before he did, he left proof, not for himself. He didn't need validation, but for Charlie, for the man who'd spent 20 years defending a story that sounded too absurd to be true. Those 12 Polaroids were Prince's final gift to Charlie Murphy, a gift that said, "I remember. It happened. You were telling the truth." Game blouses. The photos prove something beyond just one weird night. They prove that Prince was more than his music, that legends can be human, that the wildest stories are sometimes the truest one. They prove that keeping receipts matters, that truth eventually reveals itself, that patience is rewarded. And they prove that Charlie Murphy, comedian, storyteller, brother of Eddie Murphy, survivor of an impossible basketball game, deserved to be believed all along. The exhibit at Paisley Park includes a final note, not from Prince, from the archivists who found the photos. These images confirm what Charlie Murphy told the world for decades. The basketball game happened. Prince won. Pancakes were served. And one of the greatest stories in entertainment history was true from the very beginning. Game blouses. Rest in power, both of you.